What's up guys, I'm BTC, welcome back to the Respawn where I answer your questions. Today we're talking about Orisa, the meta, new abilities, new events, and more. First question of the day, how many hero concepts do you have? Only about 2 or 3 that are full characters. Mostly I come up with abilities that would work as replacements for stuff that existing characters are having problems with. For example, with Reaper and his Shadow Step or Mercy with Res, all that sort of stuff. I come up with abilities that would work better in that place. But I certainly could come up with more full fleshed out character concepts if that's something you guys would like to see. In a recent video, I did talk about Ares, which is an alternative character for Reinhardt. It's a tank with a barrier where he moves around like Reinhardt, but the entire rest of his kit is different. He would be played entirely different, so he would work in different kinds of comps and stuff. But if you want to see more of these character concepts, then I definitely can try to do that. Do headshots give less ult charge because you kill faster, or they give the same ult charge as body shots? They give more. The amount of ult charge you get is dependent on how much damage you deal. So you deal more damage, you get more ult charge. With the exception of Widowmaker, all criticals do double damage, so that means you get double the ult charge. What's your opinion on Orisa? She's alright, probably needs a little bit of a buff. The character is useful in some maps in certain situations, but generally you're going to want to run one of the other tanks instead, so either Reinhardt or Winston, depending on what the map is. I know that Orisa has been seeing a little bit more use because of the Bastion Symmetra thing, but remember, Orisa was also being used because of the pirate ship on Junkertown, but as that started to go away, so did Orisa, and the same thing is going to happen with the Bastion Symmetra thing. As that goes away, so isn't Orisa. So she's okay. She needs to be a little bit better. Who do you think will be the next heroes in the next Archive event? There's a couple of possibilities. It could be another Overwatch team with some of the characters that we haven't seen before. So that would be Soldier, Ana, Winston, possibly Mei. And then another version would be Talon. You could have Doomfist, Widow, Sombra, Reaper, any of those combinations. But then you would need a healer. So maybe Moira, but the thing is, we already had Reaper and Moira last year, so unless they add a new Talon character that's a healer, you're probably not really going to have much. Although another possibility could be maybe Sombra just hacks med packs that are all over the map, and maybe that's what you use in order to heal, and there's a different Talon character in there. I don't know, any of that stuff. Or maybe they could go even further and you would have like an Omnic team where everyone plays as a Bastion or an Orisa. You wouldn't be actually as Orisa, it would just be the Omnic version of Orisa, and you wouldn't be playing as the Bastion that we have in-game right now. You would be playing as the older versions that were taking place like with Null Sector and all that sort of stuff. Do you think a cleanse effect would work in Overwatch? Yes, because it's already in the game. Wraithform, Fade, Ice Block are self-cleanses. Zarya has a bubble for herself and for a teammate. Both of those function as cleanses as well. They get rid of debuffs and any sort of damage over time and stuff. So yes, they definitely could add more cleanse effects. What do you think will happen to Bastion? Will he get a buff or a remake since he just got buffed? Bastion needs a rework. I know that he's being played a little bit more right now, but it's still very much a niche pick in a niche comp that is essentially a cheese comp, right? It works if people are surprised by it, but if they're expecting it, the failure rate is incredibly high. Now, his changes that he just recently got have made him marginally more viable in the upper brackets, but it's also made him significantly more difficult to deal with in the lower brackets. And this is exactly what I said before. You can't buff the Sentry mode without making it more problematic for the lower bracket characters. He needs to be reworked. That's the end of it. Which is better, Transcendence or Sound Barrier? In most cases, Transcendence is going to be better, but there are times when Sound Barrier can be more effective, particularly if the enemy team has a really good Ana who can land those anti-nades, because that would just shut down Transcendence entirely. Who is meta for Season 14? It's still going to be Goats Comp. Triple tank, triple support. I know that there are some that are trying to say it's going to be triple DPS or quad DPS, or that Bastion Symmetra is going to be meta. No, they're not. The Bastion Symmetra thing, as I've already said, is essentially just a cheese comp. It works as the surprise factor, but the more people see it, the easier and easier it's going to be to destroy it. So that is not meta. It's just this gimmicky thing that sometimes works. As far as the triple and quad DPS, no. Goats comp will destroy that every time. So it's still going to be Goats comp. As long as there's the powerful multiple AoE healing, it's going to be Goats comp. Good follow-up question. How did Bastion not counter Goats comp before the buff if his main role in the Goats counter is shield breaking? This is a misconception. The buffs that Bastion got had zero impact on him being an effective Goats counter. The thing that makes it work is Symmetra teleporting the Bastion around. You put the Bastion up on high ground where the Goats has difficulty getting to, or once they commit to a certain location where the Bastion is, the Symmetra simply teleports the Bastion somewhere else, and the Orisa moves the barrier so the Bastion can continue attacking. The buffs that Bastion got had no impact at all on how effective this strategy was, because this was being used on an older version of the patch. In some of the, I believe it was contenders, they were running the old version of Bastion, still doing that strategy, and it was partially effective because of the moving around with the Symmetra teleport. The buff had nothing to do with it. Now, the problem is that, as I mentioned, this is just a cheese comp, and it's only partially effective, and as more and more teams and more players see this, it's going to get easier and easier to defeat. In fact, it's already starting to lose some of its effectiveness. Who is the best hero to counter a good Widowmaker? Either Winston or D.Va. When is the Bastion rework video coming? I'm still working on it. The recent changes to Bastion have made me alter the video just a little bit, but it is something that will get published at some point, but again, still working on it. Best way to play Doomfist nowadays. You go into the spawn room, you click the button to swap characters, and then you pick something else. Seriously, the character is basically a troll pick at this point. Even the best Doomfist players in the world are abandoning the hero. Does Nano affect things not connected to the character, like Torb Turret, Sim Turrets? No, it does not. Turrets are not damage boosted. Same thing with the ultimates from Junkrat, D.Va, and Hanzo. They do not get affected by damage boosting. They used to, don't anymore. Will you make a video about the best heroes to learn for each rank? This is something that has been on my to-do list for quite a while, but there are so many videos that I want to make, and I just don't have time to make all of them. Currently, do you think Blizzard has the resources to release more heroes a year? Yes, they do. What do you think about a game mode where you can play heroes as they were before the changes? This is a commonly asked question. It's not going to happen. I think it would cause way too many technical difficulties in the game. And also, I don't think Blizzard likes the idea of having a character function one way in, regular quick play and competitive, and then having it completely different in another game mode. At least when it comes to having fully different abilities. I know in some of the arcade modes and in the custom matches you can change the damage and the health and the speed of different things and how much you get ult charge and lower the cooldowns. But I think that's different from just swapping out an entirely different ability, so I don't think it's going to happen. I'm in a low rank where Bastion is very good. How should I counter him with very low team coordination? If you're really having trouble, you could either try just using Junkrat to just spam the attack in there and destroy him that way, or use Sombra, get into the back, and hack him so that way he's forced out of the sentry mode, and then hopefully your team can destroy him. What are your thoughts on where Reaper is right now and what we can do to replace Shadow Step and what we can do to make him better? Reaper is currently one of the worst characters in the game, one of the lowest pick rates, second only to Bastion. He is not viable in the vast majority of cases. He's really only good against players that kind of don't know what they're doing, and then you can be effective. But the main issue with Reaper is that his Shadow Step is garbage, and he has no way to effectively get in close where he needs to. It's funny you ask this because I just made a video not too long ago addressing all of these and proposing some changes that would make him a lot more effective and replace Shadow Step with something that would actually work. That video has almost 700,000 views right now, so you can go and check it out if you want. I'll put a link for that on screen and down below. That's going to be all the questions for today. Thank you to everyone who submitted one. If you didn't get picked, try again next week. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Also, come hang out in my Discord server and my Twitch live stream. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see what kind of cool VIP rewards you can get, check the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.